I welcome you all to a lecture session on tourism. Accommodation or the hospitality industry is an inseparable and critical aspect of tourism. It essentially fulfills travelers' need in terms of stay, food and beverages, and like tourism, it has evolved over the centuries with many landmark achievements from time to time. In a bid to keep pace with the changing times and customer needs, it has diversified into new areas to include a variety of services. In this module, we will be discussing yet another critical aspect of tourism, namely the accommodation industry or the hospitality industry. The topics will include the historical perspective, range of tourist accommodation, hotel operation, marketing, hotel training in India. We hope this module gives you some fresh insights into the hotel industry, its role and relevance in promoting tourism.
The historical perspective. Hotels were an integral aspect of life in India even during the BCs. The first hoteliers were perhaps the priests in pilgrim centers like Varanasi or Haridwar, who accommodated the pilgrims in their own houses or in dharmshalas, as travel in ancient times was essentially for pilgrimage. To facilitate pilgrims, Indian emperors and kings built roads lined with fruit-bearing trees, which provided fruits that they could eat, and shade in which they could relax. They also constructed several panthshalas or sarais to accommodate travelers at night. Similarly, in Europe, travelers found shelter in the churches. The Renaissance in Europe, followed by the Industrial Revolution in the 17th century, opened up most countries for travel, and inns operated by the innkeepers sprouted all over Europe. The inns were a lucrative business, and the English common law declared them to be a public house and imposed social responsibilities on the innkeeper. Most inns were located in places where the stagecoaches changed horses, and passengers took rest and refreshments or spent the night. About 200 such inns are operated as hotels in the UK by Trust House, the famous British chain of hotels even today. When the railways appeared on the scene, travel time was drastically reduced, and a majority of coaching inns went out of business, as most passengers reached their destinations the same day. In America, the New World, the inns took the name of taverns, and the first one was operated by a man called Samuel Coles, who came to America with the first shipload of Puritans in 1630. In another 100 years, taverns were popular meeting places of people and businessmen all over the country. The tavern has been described as a cradle of liberty, and the Boston Tea Party, which started the American Revolution, was planned in a tavern called the Green Dragon. From the taverns emerged the hotels. Initially, the residences of the rich in France were called hotels, which must have given the term an aura of respectability. Public places like the town hall or mint were also called hotels. By about 1800, the terms tavern, hotel and coffee house were used to describe the same institution. 2 decades later, the word hotel came to be accepted as a place where people stayed for the night and took their meals on payment. Hotel keeping over the years developed a distinct American flavor all over the world. It was a place for businessmen to meet. There were no class restrictions in the USA, and people of all classes mingled freely in these hotels. Hotels in America are an integral part of the country's socio-cultural life. They serve as conventional centers. Several American presidents have been nominated from conventions held in leading hotels. Today, conventions and conferences contribute almost one-third of the revenue of the large American hotels. In fact, more conventions and meetings are held in hotels there than in the city halls or boardrooms. Hotel industry in India. Hotels in India are relatively a new phenomenon. To a country which extolled hospitality as a virtue and equated guests with God, commercial hospitality was an anathema. When India became independent, there were only a few hotels operated by some British and Swiss families. The only Indian-owned hotel was the Taj, built by Jamshedji Tata in Mumbai in 1900. Late Rai Bahadur M.S. Oberoi was the first man in India to think of running hotels. The Oberoi chain of hotels in India is known after his name. He started his first hotel at the same time as Conrad Hilton did in the USA. Post-independence, the government of India realized the role of hotels in development of tourism. But not many businessmen in India were willing to invest money on hotels, as running a hotel carried a social stigma. But attitudes have since changed. As private capital was not flowing in, the government of India stepped in to build hotels where they were most needed. The Ashok Hotel in Delhi was the first one to be built in 1956 in the public sector. India's first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru took personal interest in the construction of this hotel because India was host to a major event, the UNESCO conference in 1956. The hotel was built in a record time of 1 year, including a convention hall that could accommodate 2,000 people. Soon, the Department of Tourism of the Government of India decided to set up a hotel classification committee to evaluate and grade the services of hotels. Hotels with most comforts were awarded 5 or 4-star rating. Hotels with modest facilities were categorized as 3, 2 or 1-star properties. Later, a 5-star deluxe category was also created for world-class hotels in India. And now we have a new category called the heritage hotels, which are palaces or castles turned into hotels. The classification process helped in standardizing the services of the hotels. Until a few years back, the Government of India also fixed the tariff for approved hotels on the basis of their standards. This practice has since been given up, and today the prices are decided by the market forces. This has resulted in a steep rise in tariffs due to increased demand and operational costs. There were some 73,000 rooms in hotels approved and classified by the Government of India in the year 2001. Of these, 1/3 were in the 5-star deluxe or 5-star categories. Range of tourist accommodation. Having taken a peep into the history of the development of tourist accommodation, from old inns to modern hotels, we can now identify the range of accommodation available in the world today, which can be broadly classified as hotels and motels, supplementary accommodation to cover all other forms of accommodation. Hotels and motels. By far, the largest sector of accommodation is in the form of hotels and motels. It includes deluxe business hotels, tourist hotels, beach resort hotels, or mountain resort hotels. In the major cities of India, 75% of the foreign visitors from rich countries use government-approved licensed star hotels. Hotels and motels are similar properties, except that motels are roadside hotels with a lot of parking space to accommodate the travelers' vehicles. Motel is a word coined by combining motor with hotel, which means a hotel meant for travelers who travel by motor cars. They are often small properties managed and operated by limited staff with limited services. Supplementary accommodation. Supplementary accommodation includes accommodation for tourists but not necessarily hotel services. In the Indian context, it encompasses tourist bungalows, government rest houses, dak bungalows, travelers' lodges, forest huts, youth hostels, dharamshalas and sarais, etc. Youth hostels are spread all over the world where young travelers can get inexpensive accommodation. The membership of youth hostel associations worldwide exceeds 4 million. In India too, this movement is fast growing. The Government of India has built several youth hostels in several parts of the country, where young people can stay paying very little. Hotel operation. A modern hotel is a major establishment with complex operations that require a highly skilled and professionally trained workforce. To enhance operational efficiency and quality at all levels, technology is widely employed in today's hotel industry. The services provided by a hotel today can be categorized as primary services, ancillary services, and support services. Primary services include rooms, food, beverages. Primary services. Rooms. The accommodation-related functions of a hotel are called rooms. They include reception, uniformed service personnel like bellboys who handle luggage on arrival or departure of the guests, car park attendants, etc. Reception, also called the front office, checks in the guests, deals with their mails and messages, accounts, cash and reservations. Food and beverage section. This section is a critical factor for the success of a hotel. Most hotels have a banquet manager who organizes and looks after large parties, wedding receptions, conventions and such events in which hundreds of guests take part. Food section is headed by executive chefs, while each restaurant has a separate manager. Bars in the hotel fall within the purview of the food and beverages section. But in India, revenue from rooms often exceeds food and beverages because there are several restrictions on the sale of alcoholic beverages. Besides, there is a tax levied by central government on food and beverages consumed in hotels, which makes eating in deluxe hotels an expensive affair. Some state governments also levy their own brands of tax, adding to the woes of people patronizing deluxe hotels. Ancillary services include guest laundry and valet services, guest telephones, other guest services. Housekeeping. Housekeeping includes the servicing of guest rooms, cleaning bedrooms, staircases, public areas, banquet halls, first aid to guests, lost property and decorations. Laundry department is part of the housekeeping unit. Support services cover marketing, sales, property operations, maintenance, energy, general administration, accounting. Marketing. Profits of a hotel depend on good marketing. Basically, it is a process by which the customer's needs are met by the management. Marketing should not be confused with sales. While marketing is like sowing, sales is like harvesting. Marketing consists of four important aspects: research and analysis, development propositions to fulfill customer needs, dissemination of information through advertising, public relations, and the media, monitoring sales activities, and corrective action if they are found deficient. For marketing purposes, a good hotel manager has to tap primary sources of business from the following segments: industries in the locality, major commercial companies, government offices, corporations, travel agents, foreign and local, airlines, universities, sports clubs. Room occupancy and profitability. Room occupancy is the unit by which profitability of a hotel is measured. Room occupancy of a hotel is determined by dividing the number of rooms occupied in the hotel on a given night by the total number of rooms in the hotel and multiplying the figure by 100. For instance, if a hotel has 150 rooms occupied on a given night out of the total number of 200 it has, the room occupancy is 150 into 100 divided by 200 equal to 75%. Similarly, the occupancy can be worked out for weeks, months, or on a yearly basis. However, to work out the profitability of a hotel, one has to take into consideration the number of rooms with double or triple occupancy for a given period. Average daily rate per guest. Another useful statistic is the average daily room revenue per guest. This is arrived at by dividing the total room revenue for a particular period by the total number of guests accommodated during that time. Break-even point. Break-even is the point where the hotels make no loss and no profit. In other words, it is an indicator as to how low the occupancy could drop before the hotel starts losing money. New concepts in accommodation. To keep pace with modern times, some new concepts in accommodation have cropped up in recent times. They can be classified as condominium hotels, time-sharing, all-suite hotels, pensions, paradors, campgrounds. Condominium hotels. Condominium hotels are essentially hotels with apartments instead of basic rooms. These units are sold by the hotel developer to individual owners who then contract back to the developer or a third-party management company to operate the hotel and rent the space to visiting tourists. The individual owners may retain the right to visit the hotel and stay in their own unit during specified periods of the year, often at a reduced room rate. The developer or the management company receives a fee for managing and renting out the unit. Any resulting profit or loss is shared among individual owners. This type of accommodation is popular among families because of the large size of the apartments and the freedom to cook, but it is yet to catch on in India. Time-sharing. Time-sharing is a specialized form of condominium ownership which began in Europe at about the same time as the condominium hotels. This concept began when travelers found it difficult from year to year to obtain space in popular hotels in the summer months. In order to get guaranteed accommodation, guests began prepaying for rooms for a specified number of years ahead. The norms for allotting space to such people who have bought accommodation well in advance vary from hotel to hotel. In other words, instead of outright ownership of an apartment. A guest takes it on lease for a week every year by only paying a fraction of the actual cost of the property. In India, timeshare has been pioneered by a few entrepreneurs like the Sterling Group and the Dalmias. All-suite hotels. The all-suite hotel is a recent concept introduced for providing suites for business travelers for the price of a normal room in a first-class hotel. Many leading hotel chains like Sheraton, Hilton, Hyatt, and Radisson have quickly lapped up this concept and met with success. Pensions. Pensions are found primarily in Europe, especially in France. These are accommodation facilities owned and operated by a family that usually lives on the building. Pensions have only a handful of rental units, but because of a large number of them catering to tourists, they have made a major impact on the accommodation industry in Europe. Paradors. Paradors are unique to Spain. They are generally old castles, convents, or monasteries that have been converted into hotels and also operated by the government. In India, we have forts and palaces converted into hotels in Mysore and also in a few cities in Rajasthan and Gujarat. They have been classified as heritage hotels. Campgrounds. For a certain segment of the population in Europe and America, camping is a popular form of overnight accommodation. North America alone has an estimated 20,000 campgrounds owned by hotel chains like the Holiday Inn, Ramada Inns, etc. Closely allied to the camping business are the recreational vehicles (RVs) that come with sleeping berths. Industry-related organizations. Federation of Hotels and Restaurants Association of India (FHRAI). FHRAI is the representative body of the hotels and restaurants in India. Founded in 1955 on the initiative of some regional bodies, the Federation encourages, protects, and projects through lawful means the just demands of the industry. It has a large membership of about 2,600, including 1,731 hotels and 720 restaurants across India. It is headed by a president who is elected in rotation from the 4 regions of the country. Headquartered in Delhi, it has 4 regional offices. It is a watchdog body which takes up industry-related issues with the government. Indian Hotel Association (IHA), an offshoot of FHRAI, IHA, the Indian Hotel Association, came into existence in 1996 with its secretariat in Delhi. It has a membership comprising mostly major hotel chains and deluxe hotels. The focus of this body is training, and it updates hotel industry professionals on the trends of the trade across the world with an annual convention. It also brings out several publications for the benefit of its 3,000 members. International Hotel and Restaurant Association (IHRA). Representing the hotel industry at the international level is the IHRA, which was established in 1947 with 150 hotel associations from different countries as its members. Based in Paris, it interacts with other travel-related international bodies like the WTO, ILO, UNO, IATA, and UFTAA. It has a training cell with a special focus on imparting training to personnel from developing countries. IHRA has 2 regional offices, one in Asia Pacific and the other in Latin America. The organization is known for its initiatives in promoting sustainable tourism and creating environmental awareness through integrated training programs for hotel industry professionals. Hotel training in India. Trained manpower is important for successful hotel operations. The Government of India has set up 21 institutes of hotel management, catering and nutrition in several major cities across the country. These institutes under the Ministry of Tourism provide a 3-year diploma course to industry aspirants who have passed their higher secondary examinations. A good number of institutes provide 1 year or 24 weeks craft courses and also advanced post-diploma specialization programs of 8 months in hotel administration and food production. All these institutes have an apex body, Council of Hotel Management and Catering Technology, to provide guidelines related to the curriculum, examination procedures, etc. Some hotels in the private sector have their own academies to train future managers for the industry. Of these, the Oberoi School of Hotel Management enjoys a good reputation internationally. Another important hotel school is the one run by the Welcome Group in Manipal, Karnataka. Government incentives. Realizing how vital the hotel industry is for the country's economy, the Government of India has offered a few concessions. For instance, the profits earned in foreign exchange by the hotels are exempted from income tax up to 50% totally, and the remaining 50% free if reinvested in tourism projects. Loans are available at nominal interest rates for building hotels. Import of equipment is allowed for hotels earning foreign exchange. Hotels have been accorded the status of export industry and are given the same incentives enjoyed by any export house in the country.
Well, we have seen how accommodation or the hospitality industry forms the backbone of tourism. Today, a highly favorable climate has been created for the tourism industry by the state with several policy initiatives. This certainly augurs well for the industry, which should be able to create at least 100,000 hotel rooms to meet the requirements of the 3.5 million visitors, a target set by the Indian government in 1995. And that brings us to the end of the session. Thank you.